two for the show. So buckle up, there's no telling where we're gonna go. A glory and fame, a silver and gold. So call us outlaws, we'll leave the fortune for the bold. No more hesitating, we're legends in the making. The gravity escaping, light speed breaking. Let's get elevated. Let's get elevated. Oh yeah. A 5-4, a 3-2-1. We're gonna fly. We're headed straight for the sun. 5-4, a 3-2-1. We're gonna fly straight for the sun. No more hesitating. We're legends in the making. Gravity escaping, light speed breaking. Let's get elevated. Let's get elevated. Let's get elevated. Let's get elevated. It's explosive. You can't control this, no. I got metal running through my bones, a resurrection like a ghost. Hurricane, go ahead and blow. Where you could keep your white flag, I'll never fold. A shadow on a battlefield, a survivor never yield. A thunder, go ahead and shake. Don't run from the storm when I feel the rain. There's no rest for the wicked, no victory for the weak. And when the weeds getting thicker, you'll never see me on my knees. You can't control this, it's explosive. You can't control this, it's explosive. You can't control this, it's explosive. I got a fever in my blood, a falling embers from above. I feel the heat when the pressure blows, a wildfire that you can't control. There's no rest for the wicked, no victory for the weak. And when the weeds getting thicker, you'll never see me on my knees. You can't control this, it's explosive. You can't control this, it's explosive. You can't control this, it's explosive. With every beat of my heart, I'll be the light in the dark. You can't control this, I'm explosive. You can't control this, it's 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 explosive.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Our family started RVing a few years ago, and when I think about all those campfires and fishing trips and sporting events, these are memories that are going to last a lifetime. I want to help others do the same thing. Hi, I'm Kevin Smith, General Manager at the all-new CLICKIT RV in Milton Freewater. People in this community are very familiar with this location and the great service they've always received. So the biggest question we get is, where is Keith? The great news is, Keith is still here.
I've seen a lot of changes. I've seen a lot of things come and go. Through all the changes that we have seen, one thing that has not changed for us is the quality of our service.
Buying an RV is a big purchase, but it should be a fun and happy experience. So whether it be in sales or service or parts, our mission is simple: be the best. From our team here at CLICKIT RV in Milton Freewater, we invite you to come down and experience the difference.
Looking to the inside of Turner, trying to make it 3 wide down the back straightaway, nearly does.
Last night the track was very slick. You know, we had 2 good grooves.
But anyway, just another some of that.
There's people in the stands. That means there's people watching.
LSRTV and CRN Sports welcome you to coverage of the Northwest CLICKIT RV Fixed Setup Series playoffs. Good evening from Kentucky Speedway. We welcome you. I'm Wesley Outland. Jason Rockefeller is alongside. It is a cold night in North Carolina. Jason, I'm sure it's cold in New Jersey as well. 33 degrees right now in North Carolina. 2 days ago, it was 83 degrees here. Don't like the weather, just turn around and wait. Luckily, I'm bundled up like an Eskimo, brother. How you been?
I'm good, man. I'm ready to go here tonight. Just like we were a few nights ago at New Hampshire. What an amount of cautions we saw there for the Northwest Truck Series. And boy, oh boy, we're in for one here tonight. Kentucky Speedway, obviously this track on the repaved surface from after 2015 into the 2016 season. This track is very, very tough. You're going to see a lot of guys heading into turns 1 and 2, trying to make sure that that car can grip the bottom, grip the middle, whatever lane they're running, to not slip and slide off the corner. Then you're going to have to break it down into 3 and 4, sweeping left-hander, obviously, get back to the throttle very, very gradually and very easily, and you want to make sure you don't lose that car out from underneath you and slide up that racetrack and take yourself or somebody else out.
That's exactly right. And obviously, we saw Ryan Bloom, who was on the bottom on Monday night in the number 5 seed, put himself into the championship 4 with Dennis Moore. And of course, now we have a driver in Dan West Jr. He's got 5 wins on the year, most of anybody on the series going after the race at Iowa last week. He's punched his ticket in to Auto Club Speedway for the championship finale. No matter what happens the rest of the way, Dan West Jr. will be one of those contenders for Team LSRTV. But, Jason, with that being said, you've got 2 more weeks left to go. Penultimate race of the round of 8 here tonight at Kentucky. Las Vegas is next week, and then that's the penultimate race of the season. And then you've got 3 weeks from tonight, the championship at Auto Club. If you want a chance to make it in, could we see somebody like Dennis Moore, besides Ryan Bloom doing what he did Monday night in the Northwest Truck Series? Could we see Dan West Jr. continue his Wednesday night momentum, Jason? Or will somebody else break through? Will we see a name like a Ryan Gormley or Sean Brightsman, or even a man on the bottom looking in like Paul Newton or even Ryan Bloom? and the number 8 seed for the Northwest CLICKIT RV Fixed Series get a chance to go to the Championship 4.
Yeah, I think that Ryan Bloom is a great example. I mean, just think about Monday. He was 5th looking in and outside looking in. Tonight, he's 8th looking in. I think that Ryan Bloom has a very, very good shot here tonight, but there's a lot of drivers who can win as well.
Well, we're ready to see all this going on here tonight. As I just got done watching the World Series with Jackie. Obviously, congratulations. Charles Wooten. I don't even think we mentioned his name, the man that run the boards in our CLICKIT RV production studio in Wichita Falls, Texas. And I do got to send a big kudos to the Texas Rangers. First time since 1961 that the Texas Rangers have won the World Series, the postseason of baseball. I'm a Braves fan. I'm a Red Sox fan. But whenever they get eliminated, I try to pick the next best. And I didn't care for the Diamondbacks, so I really was glad that the Texas Rangers took care of Houston. Thank goodness the Astros didn't go back to the World Series, and then, of course, to go on and win the World Series. I'm happy for them. So let's go to on-track activity. And while we're doing so, we want to let everyone know that there is a chance of some technical issues again tonight. Vexus, that does the internet in Texas at the studios, has been updating their internet. They normally do it overnight, obviously, Jason, because normally people are either in bed asleep. So the plan is that there will be doing some updates and maintenance. If it happens, we're going to have probably happen what we had Monday night, where literally we go offline, we'll pop back up, don't go anywhere, we'll be right back with you. We'll go to a quick radio timeout on the radio to make sure there's no dead air, and obviously on the broadcast feed via YouTube and Facebook, we will bring it back. Now, I will tell you this, and I found this out after last week, Jason, that if it goes out via Facebook one time, I think it loses the entire race. You got to start it back all over again, because I did try to watch some of the race from Monday night via Facebook, and with like 145 laps to go, or 145 laps into the race, when we started having the technical issues, it went out and it never came back. But the YouTube official broadcast feed for LSRTV will have you covered. All right, point standings. Now that you're caught up in case there's some technical difficulties, here's a look at the points. And Jason, I really don't know what else there is to say. You look at them, you got a guy like Ryan Bloom, not far behind. Obviously, if you're 5th on back, you want to try to race in. If you're guys like Gormley, Brightsman, or Stab now, you want to try to win these races to go to the Championship 4 and not have to worry about the headache of the other races to get in.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, all the guys below you just talked about, Chris White, Newton, King, Bloom, they have to, just do their best here tonight. And I mean, the gap from 4th all the way down to 8th, Wesley, is only separated by 11 points. So this could get very, very tight here. These last 2 races, tonight being obviously at the Kentucky Speedway, and then next week being at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Basically, both of these tracks, 1.5 miles. So I think, Wesley, if you see whoever's dominant here tonight, you very well could see these same exact drivers up at the front running next week in Vegas. Obviously, those tracks both drive differently, but it doesn't separate the fact that they're both 1.5 miles. So could we see Dan West Jr. continue his dominance one last week at Iowa Speedway to lock himself into Auto Club? Maybe we could see a Ryan Gormley, a Jeff Stabnow, maybe one of these guys outside the playoffs like Toby Ritters, Seth Frazier, Kevin Smith, just to name a few, could win and steal some thunder away from these playoff contenders as well.
You're exactly right. Let's take a look real quickly at the Hunt the Front TV race information. 200 miles, 134 laps here tonight. One fast repair, fat repair. You did it again, Charles. Fat repair. One fast repair. One fast repair. The S will pop up in just a minute. 100% fuel load, and I don't know what "and" means. 3 sets of tires, I guess is what it means. 3 attempts. And 3 attempts at a green right checker if need be. 3 attempts. Oh, my goodness. Fast repair. We used that jokingly last Wednesday night, Jason, and that was actually something important after the incident we had in the start of the race. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was absolutely hilarious, because our guy up in the production booth, Charles Wooten, is just such a funny guy, but hey, I think it's going to be interesting tonight. Remember last week too, Wesley, we saw some guys have incidents at Iowa Speedway.
Sure.
About in the medium late in the going, we saw a lot of guys even this Monday night not being able to use that fast repair because they had already taken it from a previous incident.
That's
so
right.
remember, you take that fast repair here tonight, especially if you're one of these playoff guys, whether it be above or below the cutoff line for these last 8 drivers remaining here in the round of 8, you have to drive like you're running on thin ice after you take that fast repair. You have to be aggressive, but you have to know when to give and take, because one wrong move and you could be setting yourself head on into the outside wall, the inside wall, spinning through the grass, flipping up in the catch fence. You just don't know. So you have to drive very, very carefully here tonight if you do, in fact, have to take that fat repair.
Kaufman Creative weather conditions leading up to tonight's event. There it is. Air temp 78 degrees, track temp 81. It will be under the lights from dusk until nightfall. Partly cloudy conditions here, and perfect conditions for racing, Jason, I believe, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We saw a very, very hot track from New Hampshire on Monday night for the Truck Series. And tonight, obviously, with the sun going down, and obviously as we get to about maybe a quarter of the way into this race, Wesley, this track will probably fall into complete darkness and cool off the track temperature by just a few degrees. So it's going to be really interesting to see how these cars with the high horsepower, the low downforce, because let's all face it, for us race fans like me and you, Wesley, that have been watching for years, when you look at the Xfinity Series car compared to the Truck or the Cup Series car, obviously, these things are very sensitive due to that lack of downforce these things have. Remember, wide bodies, narrow, short, thin spoiler on the back, and of course the high horsepower being able to let that car, essentially get away from you. If you make one wrong move, if you get loose a little bit, it very well can happen here. But with obviously the track temperatures being in the low 80s, high 70s, it could provide for a little bit more grip for these drivers and have a little bit more comfortability inside those cockpits.
Right now, it looks like Dan West Jr. going to be the man to beat in qualifying. 1 seed, 5 wins on the year. The man that's got the most wins of anybody this year. The man that's already in the championship 4. He is putting himself at the top of the board right now and continuing to carry momentum, kind of like what Dennis Moore did in the Truck Series. By the way, tonight, Kentucky Speedway will get ready for, again, 200 miles, 134 laps, as a few more minutes left to go for qualifying, and almost 20 entries, it looks like, locked in here, getting ready to wrap up here, qualify. And Dan West Jr., all these drivers now putting in a pretty good luck. And then right now, hey, by the way, if you're looking to get into producing or announcing, message us today on Facebook or at LiveSimRacingTV.com, your home for sim racing. And by the way, the final races remain for the Northwest Series, and they'll fire back up and get ready again sometime in February or March of 2024. However, we've still got a plethora of good sim racing entertainment, dirt, pavement, and more during the winter months. Let's go racing here at Kentucky. Dan West Jr. will lead the field to the green, as I mentioned, on the pole. Paul Newton right there alongside in the number 27. That driver, of course, is in the number 6 seed in the playoffs. Ryan Bloom, the number 8 seed, and Sean Wrightsman right there alongside in the number 3 spot. Jeff Stabnow needing a good run. He currently is 4th in the standings, and Christopher White behind him in 5th, row 3. Row 4, Joshua Marcy and Frank Harris in the 11. Big news by them, and they've announced a new driver. We'll have details on that coming up soon. Tyler King in the 21. And Dennis Moore, as I mentioned, outside from top 10, Jason.
Yeah, rest of your field going all the way back to 21st. Next row, in row 6, you got Ryan Gormley, 2nd in the points, trying to lock himself in. And Toby Ritter's not in the playoffs anymore, but he's trying to have a good run tonight in that 23 machine. Row number 7, Stephen Paulson in the 58, and James Vining in the 333, coming off of a clean run Monday night at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Row number 8, John Ottenbacher, Brett Johnson in the number 7 machine, knocked out again, trying to have a good run. Row number 9, Stephen Bartlett, Carl Burke in the 53 machine. And then row number 10, Troy Daggett, and BJ Tidrick, and rounding out the rest of the field is Dan Lowther in the 63 machine on row 11.
So that's the way they go here tonight at the Kentucky Speedway. Mile and a half travel here. 72 feet wide a racing groove, 56 feet wide a racing at the corner number 1 and 2. As you're seeing right now, they climb up the banking. That's, of course, 17 degrees of banking in the turns. The same will be in unison down the back straightaway on this mile and a half. 17 degrees, however, it is 14 degrees in turn number 3 and 4. 200 miles, 134 laps the distance for these drivers as they get into position ready to go here tonight. 72 to 56 feet wide. That's a lot of racing group, Jason, as I meant to say.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, that front straightaway very, very wide. The back straightaway a little wide, but very narrow. And then 3 and 4. Look at how sweeping this left-hander is. You could be seeing guys go 3, 4 wide at times, entering 3 and 4 off the corner. This is going to be an exciting one here tonight.
Should be a good one. On the D-shaped machine oval, that is the Kentucky Speedway. Ready for the field to come to the line. The penultimate race in the round of 8, race number 2. Green in the air, we're underway. Here to fill the thunder and the roar in Kentucky. Let's go. Opening laps here in Kentucky. And right now, as they work their way off the front straightaway, tribal of 8 to 10 degrees of progressive banking. Your leader in the early going, Dan West Jr., Bloom, Newton, Staff down, Brightsman top 5, the Cavalry single file, Jason back off into 3.
Yeah, everybody's starting to get single filed out right now, and Dan West Jr. picking up right where he left off 1 week ago from the Iowa Speedway, from the cornfields now to the Bluegrass State. He's leading by almost 3/4 of a second, but you're right on board with Ryan Gormley. He is sitting in the 8th spot, already up 3 spots from where he started. Needs a solid finish tonight, being that 2nd seed here in the round of 8. He's looking to have a good run, but he's got Frank Harris right on his heels entering turn 3. He'll close the gap to the bumper of Gormley.
In tow, down to the corner, Dan West Jr. Of course, there you see now Harris. By the way, speaking of Frank Harris and Stephen Paulison, they've announced that James Vining effective immediately, Jason, along with, I believe, Stephen Bartlett, the 39, have been forming the newest members of the Aerokinetics race team. How about that?
Yeah, and you know something too, Wesley? It's always great to obviously have more teammates. I mean, you think about it realistically. In real racing, too, think about it. What a move there by the 35 of Josh Marcy to thread the needle between the 11 and the number 22 machine. But back to the point, it's always good to have more teammates. You think about a 2-car operation like the Cup Series, like Trackhouse Racing, fairly new. They don't really have a lot of drivers or, basically any kind of information to lean off of besides Chevy, obviously, with all the Chevys in the Cup Series field. But when you have 4 teams on one particular race team, that gives you 4 different opportunities with also some input from other people on those teams. So 4 drivers is obviously better than 2, so I think that this will definitely make them a better team heading into next season.
Definitely keeping an eye on that right now as we watch John Annenbacher work the back straightaway. Had a pretty dismal race the other night. And correction, that's actually Chris White in 6th. Taking the green car, it's Chris White, CWI Racing entry. Studio 17 entry on the bottom of the racetrack, making a move on Brightsman. Brightsman's Toyota will peel up on the outside lane, and here comes now Ryan Gormley. How about this one, Jason? The prodigy Ryan Gormley, number 2 seed in the playoffs right now.
Yeah, Ryan Gormley was really fast right there. That was something to definitely take note of entering 1 and 2. I don't know if Chris White just lifted. Maybe he's saving tires a little bit more, especially since he's already dropped back 1 position and he's kind of maintaining his lap times. But Ryan Gormley was able to pass that 47 up on the outside and just squeeze in front of him heading into turn 2, go across his front bumper from the outside down to the bottom. That really tells me that I think this 22 machine feels really comfortable with his race cars. So either he's just really burning up his tires or he definitely feels comfort inside that cockpit tonight as he tries to look around. Sean Brightsman in the 46 machine going for that 5th spot as he's right on the back bumper edge of the
And right now in the early going to this race, and they'll be coming to lap number 9 this time by, coming up to 10 laps when they come back around. And Dan West Jr. is the man out in front. There's Ryan Bloom. And that 2nd spot right there in tow, followed by Paul Newton. Top 3 stabbed out. Look at the scoring ticker. Everybody in blue, playoff contenders. On the outside, looking into the 8 drivers. 1 driver with green, Dan West Jr., winner last week at Iowa to punch his ticket in. And right now, everyone else in blue, Jason, are in 2nd through 8th. They're right now in the 8 spots, but they're on the outside looking in. And honestly, if Charles wanted to update that ticker behind the drivers of White, Newton, King, and Bloom, Jason, they would be in red because they are outside the cutoff to make it to the championship 4 right now.
Yeah, definitely, no doubt about it. I mean, Tyler King, he started 11th right now. He has already dropped 2 spots from where he started. The same goes for Chris White there in the 47, except he has dropped 1 more spot, that being -3 from where he initially started just 12 laps ago. But that also could be, I talked about obviously the 47, letting that 22 by what I possibly thought. He might be saving a lot more tire here than most of these guys running up in front of him, which is a great thing. We know how good Chris White is usually on these long runs. Remember, 1 back at Nashville earlier. That was a track that you can really compare, obviously, to Kentucky Speedway. And then he was very strong at Indianapolis, which is a flatter track that has a little bit of banking, but it has its moments because obviously the turns are all, different degrees. And that really consists of a lot of tire saving, just like this racetrack. So Chris White may be out of this thing right now, but he would be a guy that I would definitely keep an eye on here as this race progresses through the night.
12 laps into this event right now, and still Dan West Jr. the leader. Look at this moves now. Under pressure, Christopher White trying to run down Dennis Moore, the top man of the truck shows on Monday night, besides Ryan Bloom. And Ryan Bloom, Jason, in 2nd now, as he now has some company. Moore does. Marcy up on the outside to the back straightaway. Tries to carry White and Harris with him as they work into the corner in 3.
There's the 35. He's going to get chopped off right here. The 44, Dennis Moore, championship 4 driver in the Truck Series, just slid across the 35's front bumper. But Josh Marcy able to get back down to the bottom. Now they're going to go side by side through 1 and 2. Moore going to give that position. Going to try the crossover though. Marcy did it to him off 4. Now Moore looks to do it on the inside of Marcy exiting 2.
Moore to the inside. Here comes Marcy. Marcy, whoa, and a move, and he jumps from the top to the bottom. Drifts up in front of the machine of White and threw a block on him. And look at Harris to follow the same movement as they work across the line. 15 laps into it. Marcy coming to the front. Oh, Biden wrecking, entering pit road. What in the world?
And that was interesting right there. And obviously no caution being presented, Wesley, because it was below the racing surface. iRacing servers will not deem that as a yellow flag if it is below the racing surface. That being said, right. James Vining not going to bring out our first yellow of the night, but he is on pit road, already going a lap down, now making 2 laps down. James Vining sitting there in the pits, believe he did take the tow, so it's going to take him a little bit of time before he gets back into his box, gets the repairs needed for that 333 Toyota Camry, or Toyota Supra rather, to get back on track.
Yeah, looks a Toyota Supra for the man that they call, of course, the Prodigy. I gave him that nickname, and he has really, really risen to the occasion. Let's chat a little bit more about the driver. That is, of course, Ryan Gormley, one of the newbies in the Northwest CLICKIT RV Fixed Setup Series this year. He has certainly turned some heads. He's got 1 win on the year. And right now, watching him work around the racetrack and staying in contention, battling now with Brinksman. Newton trying to get up the stab now. Bloom into second. There's your top 3 if you count the leader West. Right now, everything just kind of calm, cool, collective right now, Jason, with the exception of the crazy shenanigans we saw Ryan Gormley do. Everyone else is, for the most part, minding the P's and Q's, and counting Marcy making a daring move from the top to the bottom as well.
Yeah, both him and Dennis Moore were crossing each other over. Not 1, not 2, about 3 or 4 times for 2-3 laps at a time. Great racing between those two. Great racing between these guys right now, being Paul Newton and Jeff Stabnow in their Ford Mustangs going at it. They are both drivers in 4th, being Jeff in the playoffs, and then Paul Newton 6th outside looking in. He gets around to 24. But I tell you what, man, watch that 22. Just talked about him before and talked about him a little bit earlier on, too. That 22 looks very confident with his race car. Already up 6 spots from where he started. He's closed the gap to Jeff Stabnow, trying to look for a way around him off turn number 4 while they close it on Paul Newton.
So the stats that we have are for both all of the Northwest Racing Series events ever combined since its inception. And we're seeing Gormley in the Toyota Supra. Ryan Gormley making his 32nd career start here tonight. He has 2 wins, 1 win back in May with this car, of course, at Charlotte. He also got a truck win at Dover back in April with the Northwest Truck Series. Remember that exciting moment? Of course, Justin Prince at the time was trying to be in the booth for that one, Jason. But that's a driver that's really, again, rookie year, if you will, 10 top 5s, 18 top 10s. I give this guy some more seat time, and I think he's definitely going to be a contender. Hey, and by the way, I don't want to take it away from him. He's right now the number 2 seed as far as points for a run to the championship 4.
Oh, yeah, definitely. No doubt about it. I think Ryan Gormley is easily, probably, in my opinion, besides this guy that we're focusing the camera on right now, Jeff Stabnow, I think these 2 guys are probably the underdogs within the round of 8. We had our underdogs with, obviously, Brett Johnson, Toby Ritters, but heartbreakers for them after the round of 12. They did not advance into the round of 8. Now we're left with 2 guys, I think, who really have shown up, been consistent this year. They just really haven't got it done. I mean, Gormley has that 1 win. I believe he said it was at Charlotte earlier this year. I think Jeff Stabnow, he has the 1 win back at, I think, Kansas, maybe another one. But those are 2 guys who have just hung around all season. They haven't really done a lot besides be up at the front of this field. If they're not up at the front of the field, they're wrecked in the back. So it's nice to see these 2 guys being very, oh no, and Jeff Stabnow hits the 22 up into the wall out of the tri-oval. Gormley probably not going to be happy with that, but no harm, no foul, no damage to the right side of the 22 machine. But, you know, they very well could change my opinion right here if they get aggressive. Gormley to the bumper of the 24 entering 3.
I would probably say that that was not intentional.
Oh, no.
Just a racing move, if you will. As right now, everything's still calm, cool, collective continues here as they work their way back off of turn number 4, coming back to the start line, or the back straightaway, correction, on the back straightaway. 4 degrees on the back straightaway. The travel is from 8 to 10 degrees, progressive banking. And right now, they work again the 14 degrees off turn number 3 and 4. This track has so many different banking and sizes, and one thing for sure though, Jason, it's wide. We're seeing this as we're coming up on 100 laps to go. It's a very wide racetrack, and if you give somebody plenty of room, they're going to take it.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt about it. I mean, 1 and 2, it's very narrow, pretty much one group. You can make that middle lane work. Down the back straightaway, obviously, it gets really tight once you head off turn number 2, and that outside lane comes at you quicker than you think, or rather the outside wall. And I thought the 22 was going to do it just a lap ago there on the exit 2, battling with Stab now. But then obviously you head into 3 and 4, sweeping left-hander. Talked about that earlier on during pre-race with you, Wesley. And that track right, or not that track rather, but that turn heading in there, you want to make sure you get in there the same exact time every time, or else you're going to slide up that racetrack. You can lose a lot of time. You feel like you are going at a snail's pace around 3 and 4, but once you head off 4 and head down this long front straightaway that's super duper wide, get below that apron if necessary, come back up the racetrack. That right there out of the tri-oval, it kind of narrows up. You have a really wide exit off turn number 4 with a lot of room, but then as you get out of that tri-oval, that yellow line kind of starts to come up the racetrack, making it go from about 4 lanes to about 3, maybe 2.5. So it gets very tight on the exit of the tri-oval. Then obviously you have turn 1, so you better have a good arc entering that.
All in tow, working their way back through the tribal. Working now lap number 29 this time by them. They come to the stripe. Look at now King. King now with Marcy up in front of him. Here comes now Harris on the bottom. Remember we mentioned that new formation with drivers Stephen Bartlett, James Vining, Stephen Paulison, and Frank Harris with the new Aerokinetic Sim team. And trouble! Frank Harris
Goodness!
Into Tyler King. Brett Johnson nowhere to go. Trouble out of turn number 3 and 4. Caution out for the first time here in Kentucky.
What a hellacious hit. Oh my goodness. I looked
Jason, do
down
you think a tire blew on Harris's car? What in the world do you think caused that?
Definitely not a blown tire. The way that the iRacing sim works is it will not blow a tire until you get that thing all the way down to 0 tread. I believe this 11 simply just loses it into the corner right here. You're going to take a look at it. Oh, he just gets way up the racetrack. Maybe something happened with his rig, but he got in there super duper hot and just comes right across the front bumper of a guy who needs a good night, and that being Tyler King, and just collects Brett Johnson. That was a heavy hit into the outside wall, and then a heavy after hit for not only 11, but also the 7.
Yeah, Brett Johnson out of the round of 8. He got eliminated in the round of 12 last a couple of weeks ago. Here's on board now. Let's see what it's going to be here on this view with Brett Johnson and the 7. Watch this. Oh, man. Oh, wow. Nowhere to go for Brett. Wow. Do they pit? You think they're pitting? They're all pitting. Here they go. Calgary's on pit road. Look at Ryan Gormley out off of the pits. But he can't beat DWJ or Ryan Bloom. He'll end up either 3rd or 4th. On the pit exit, Ryan Gormley 3rd. Dan West Jr. in 1st, out 1st. 30 laps into this one, closing in on 100 laps to go. We're also closing in at the top of the hour under our first caution. We'll pause for 10 seconds of network identification. This is the Northwest CLICKIT RV Fixed Series Playoffs from Kentucky on CRN, the Community Radio Network.
Community Radio Network, WCRN 87.9 FM, Clayton, Garner, Raleigh, North Carolina, USA. We are CRN.
We're a racing family that you can trust on and off the track. So if you're looking for foundation repair, go online or give us a call to schedule your free inspection. If we fix your foundation and you mention Race On Texas, you will get a 1-year free subscription to the All Access Pass.
At CLICKIT RV, we know there's a lot of heritage and history at this location. RV sales and service has been part of this community for decades. We knew there was an incredible opportunity here, but to see where we've come in just a year is incredible. None of it would be possible without the patronage and support from this community. So whether it be a more convenient and accessible service drive, a fully stocked parts department, or this amazing sales facility, what drives this team daily is making sure our customers leave here with the best possible experience.
Lights off on the pace car. Welcome back to coverage of the Northwest CLICKIT RV Fixed Series Playoffs, Round of 8, Race 2 on the Community Radio Network and iRacing on LSRTV. Wesley Outland, Jason Rockefeller, Charles Wooten in the house in the CLICKIT RV production booth. Remember, they are doing technical work, internet in Texas. It might knock off after midnight. Just want to let you know if that does happen. The powers that be have told me to let them know that if that does happen, we'll quickly, go to a commercial break via radio, and we'll quickly get this resolved and get you right back up on the air. Hopefully, fingers crossed, that does not take place. New, fresh set of tires on all fours. Filled up the fuel tanks with Sunoco fuel. Back into the Geico restart zone. And the virtual thundering herd bring the kaleidoscope of colors down to the line. Whole shot again, Jason, for Dan West Jr. Kind of like what Kevin Smith did for Win Racing Monday night in New Hampshire. Another just amazing, flawless restart.
Yeah, great restart there for that number 55 machine. But as they head down the back straightaway, we see guys trying to go double wide, entering 3 and 4 on restarts. This can get kind of sketchy. See a few drivers side by side there. Ryan Gormley gets a little bit loose. So does Jeff Stabnow on those newer tires, going to the bottom, trying to go up the racetrack. They slide back as they try to single file out, with Gormley battling Brightsman now for position entering 1.
And of course, you've got to wonder, could cautions breed cautions? Hopefully that does not take place. As right now they're going to be coming to the line this time by. It'll be 34 laps completed, 100 laps to go. In 20 minutes, they completed 34 laps. Dan West Jr., there's Ryan Bloom. Jason, I'm going to tell you, buddy, you've been working with me on the Monday night show, and of course every Wednesday night. Ryan Bloom definitely has shown his strengths. To remember, on the outside looking in, as we got a couple of cars bonsaiing off the safer barrier. Ryan Bloom, if he could win this race, he sweeps the week of racing, obviously, for the Northwest. And of course, winner on Monday night in New Hampshire, he will punch himself at the bottom of the, here's the deal, bottom of the barrel. Number 8 looking in to go to the playoffs, championship 4. He did something similar to that at New Hampshire Monday night.
Yeah, did something similar, obviously, but he was 5th then. He's 8th right now, trying to look his way in. If he doesn't have a good night here tonight, he is going to be in a way bigger hole heading in next week to Vegas than he would want to be. So a great second place run tonight would definitely probably get him up there inside this top 4. But, I mean, you look at the playoff guys, look at, besides obviously TWJ leading this race, who's already locked in and solidified his chance to go race for a championship in a couple of weeks at Auto Club, you have 4 guys inside that top 5 who are still looking to lock themselves in. Ryan Bloom, obviously, one of them we talked about. You have Paul Newton, Ryan Gormley, and Sean Brightsman. And inside the top 10, Chris White 7th, Just Stabnow 9th, and then obviously Tyler King not having a night that he wants to remember so far. Hopefully he can get that changed up. So this would definitely be a good night for him points-wise. But obviously Ryan Bloom wants to come out here and win this race.
That's exactly right. Dennis Moore inside. Look at Brightsman in the middle. Chris White thought about going to the top shelf. Instead, they fan back out single file as Brightsman scampers away. The all-time winner of the Northwest Racing Series is Sean Brightsman, Jason Rockefeller. 73 wins tonight is his 390th career start in Northwest competition. And to go with 73 wins, 26 poles, 218 top fives, 282, count them, top 10s. That's consistency at its finest.
Yeah, and Sean Brightsman, too, has been really strong this season, obviously, but he just hasn't really performed, you know, here in the round of 8 so far. And I know that's kind of a stretch to say, because everybody who probably remembers the points earlier on, you know, you look at the points, he's third. He's technically second of the guys not locked in so far. That's good. But look at how he just barely made it into the round of 8. Struggled back at Homestead. Struggled at Iowa. You know, I mean, I know Iowa was in the round of 8 rather, but you know, still tracks that he struggled with. You know, and here he is right now, finding himself third in the seeded chart for these round of 8 playoffs, and he is having a solid performance here tonight. We're used to seeing Sean really up at the front, getting after it. This second half of the season, though, it just hasn't been that dominant performance like it's been in that first half.
Well, here's the deal, Jason. In the round of 12, opening round, Sean Brightsman won Richmond and Homestead. It was Indianapolis where he kind of struggled, and then he kind of got his stride there. But now, in the round of 8 last week, yeah, no doubt about it, he struggled. He did not do well at Iowa Speedway. New Hampshire, Monday night in the truck playoffs. He couldn't even get out of his own way sometimes. Hanging with them, though, right now in that top 6 position outside the top 5. And Dan West Jr. still continuing to lead the way. Shades of what Sean Brightsman did in the final 2 rounds of the round of 12. Dan West Jr. won Indianapolis. Dan West Jr. won last week at Iowa, and he's trying to do the same thing here at Kentucky. I'll be honest with you, Jason, I'm going to be honest. Unless something changes or somebody popping out of nowhere, like a Ryan Bloom per se, who, by the way, won Monday night and now trying to run down Dan West Jr. to win here tonight in the Northwest Series to go to the CLICKIT RV Championship 4 race. In my opinion, it is Dan West Jr. in the Wednesday Series, and it is Dennis Moore in the Monday Series. Hands down. Those are your guys that are going to fight it out for a champion.
Yeah, I think, though, when you look at probably, obviously, the 2 best drivers so far this year, you know, with, obviously, the Truck Series and the Fixed Series, I say here, it's easily DWJ. He was up there in the first half, then obviously second half. He has been absolutely flying. And then, you know, I want to tell you, probably if I had to say something on the Truck Series side, he hasn't had so much luck this year. No wins being on the Fixed Series side on Wednesdays, but how about Monday nights? He's been good. He just got his 7th win of the season, outdoing Dennis Moore with plus 1 more win than Dennis's 6th. And that's Ryan Bloom. I mean, these are the 2 best guys in the Northwest Division all season long. I think Ryan Bloom very well could be a spoiler here, probably for the Fixed Series on Wednesdays. Remember, we talked about no wins this year, but he's been right in the mix, and I know he's outside looking in. A second place run would be great tonight for that number 25, obviously, but he wants to go out there and get plus 1 more spot from where he is now.
Oh yeah, hands down. Carrying all that momentum as we're approaching 50 laps into this event. There's Ryan Bloom working off turn 4, back down to the start-finish line. And right there in tow, Chris White, Dennis Moore, down into the corner into 1. And I'm going to tell you something in regard to guys like Dan West Jr. or even Ryan Bloom, Jason. It's hard enough to win 1 series championship, but my goodness, trying to win 2 iRacing titles in the same year, that's got to be pressure cooking for sure.
Yeah, definitely, no doubt about it. I mean, and Ryan Bloom very well could be one of those guys to do just that. You know, I mean, he's been strong all season, like we've talked about in both series. you know, it's definitely hard because you're focused on probably your best one, and I guarantee you he's more set on that truck series. But now that he knows he's going to compete for a championship here in just a few weeks, I mean, you have obviously tonight. Now he's got to go out and figure out what has he got to do to solidify himself to get into that championship four to compete at Auto Club. But, you know, obviously 2 championships to go after, that's a handful. These are also 2 totally different series with 2 totally different cars. You have the truck, which is very aero dependent and, you know, obviously an open setup. This one, higher horsepower, lower downforce, a little bit twitchier, but it's a fixed setup, so the car is a little bit tighter, but you can get way looser off these corners. So Ryan Bloom definitely taking those 2 into accountability.
Watching them coming back out of the line this time by here. Virtual Kentucky Speedway. And here's the thing, Jason. This is a track that, honestly, it's not on the iRacing. Thank goodness it's on the iRacing server, because this is a track that we might not never see run races again in real life anymore in Sparta, Kentucky.
Yeah, and it's an absolute heartbreaker, obviously. But, you know, there were just so many factors that go into this, obviously. For SMI and NASCAR and obviously any other series that wanted to run here, you know, and now it just holds a bunch of old cars from previous hurricanes. I mean, that's what it's become. It's become a car lot, but, you know, we've seen tracks in the past do that too. You think about Texas World Speedway. Before my time, that track became, you know, a household for old cars, you know, ruined in previous tropical storms and hurricanes. So
that's
hopefully
right.
One of these days, maybe we can see the Kentucky Speedway back on the schedule at some point, obviously, but it's going to take a lot of, you know, people behind it, and it's going to take a lot of fans if they want to get racing back here in the Bluegrass State.
A lot of elbow work, elbow grease, as my dad used to say, rolling up those sleeves. Right now, at least we have the opportunity to reminisce and remember, thanks to the iRacing simulation. Over 50 laps into this race right now. Terkima to lead the way. Tidrick is right there in the 11th spot on the outside looking in. Tidrick, 2 wins in his career of Northwest Racing Series competition. 2 career wins. Back in the 2000s. In 2020 at Darlington, 2021 in Las Vegas. Last time we saw Tidrick in victory lane. So it's been a while. Making his 173rd career start tonight in Northwest competition. 2 wins, 2 poles, 23 top 5s, 64 top 10s for the number 72 machine. And right now, Jason just kind of trying to run down Tyler King to crack the top 10.
Yeah, and he's doing a really good job, though, right now, just running outside of it, you know, closing in on Tyler King. It's got to be a good feeling to know that you're just as fast as some of these playoff guys, and he's been a driver who's improved throughout the season. You know, he's been very quiet. You know, he's either been wrecking or running mid-pack, but, you know, again, you know, with time, look at Toby Ritters and Frank Harris over that, you know, the break we had over the summertime. Look at what a little bit of time did for them. So maybe during the offseason, we could see some of these drivers, you know, go out there, run some official races, maybe run some other leagues. We just don't know. And, you know, I keep saying this, and I will preach this, and it's something my buddy told me. The more seat time you have on iRacing, the better you're going to be. You just can't, unless you're a driver, like, for example, I don't know, maybe a Steven Wilson, your 2023 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series champion. If you're not Steven Wilson, you're not getting in a car after 3 months and going out there and dominating the race. No, you're running here in the Northwest, so you just got to really use your craft, learn that craft, make your craft better, and you do that by going out and running more races. So if I were these guys, if you want to get better during the off-season, like you've seen Toby Ritters and Frank Harris do, go out and run more races. It's just going to make you a better driver, and you're going to be competing for sure next year.
Of course, if you are tuned into the playoffs on iRacing, another playoff will be on CRN Friday night, the run to the state championships in football. I can't believe it, but it's already here. Number 13, Clay will host number 20, Southview, coverage 6 p.m. Eastern Time. The Vincent's Pub and Eatery pregame kickoff at 7 o'clock. CRN Friday night, and the playoffs run for the state championships of North Carolina begin at Nixon Fowler Stadium. We'll have it for you. So playoffs and racing, Jason, playoffs and football. Basketball's getting ready to crank back up again. Baseball winding down tonight. Oh boy, if you're a fan of sports, even like iRacing, listen, and we've said this before, Jason, for a lot of these guys, this is the closest they'll ever get to being competitive or running in a racing world. They can't afford it. Their jobs won't allow them to run real cars, real racing. Now, don't get me wrong. You got a guy like Dan West Jr., his son Devin West from Monday night. Jason, we know they're from Shelton, Washington, and we know that they race in real life. They run dirt street stocks and modifieds.
Yeah, and that was a really big thing, obviously. You know, when I jumped onto the iRacing server in the beginning of 2021, I thought to myself, hey, if I don't have the funds, I don't have the money, the support behind me to go run real races at my local track at Wall Stadium or even on the East Coast, hey, iRacing is a great place, man. You know, it's not cheap, don't get me wrong, but, you know, the right setup, whatever you want, depending on your budget, you could set that budget from, I don't know, under $1,000, under $500, $600
yeah.
to whatever one you want out there in space. It doesn't matter. I started with a rickety old setup. I made my stuff better as the last 2 years have gone on. I don't really jump into sim as much anymore due to obviously work, class, and calling broadcasts here like I want to do. But it's still something fun to do. It's something these guys can get off work or have a great time and be competitive. And obviously you look at what iRacing has done over these last, you know, handful of years since they booted up back in 2008 or 2009. You know, and it's grown into such substantial amount, over 1 billion laps turned on the service here. Worldwide, you can race all over the world. You could jump in a GT car one day, and then 15 minutes later, you can go jump into an Xfinity Series car. You could go from racing Dale Jr. at I don't even know, North Wilkesboro in an 87 car one day, and then a few months down the line, you could be racing Alex Palou in whatever, you know, he wants to come out here and race. It doesn't matter. There's so many different variations that you could put together with iRacing, and obviously it's provided a great time. You know, met some great people on here, and you know, obviously a lot of these guys have met them, you know, their buddies on iRacing, and here we go. We have the Northwest CLICKIT RV Dick Series and the Northwest Division as a whole.
Yeah, you're dead on it. Closing in, believe it or not, on halfway in a few more laps of this race. Pretty comical collective one caution flag. By the way, let's real quickly show you the Virginia811.com race summary so far as we are approaching halfway. 1 caution, 3 caution laps, 60 laps at full green, 3 under the yellow flag. No lead changes. Dan West Jr. being up in front. And Jason, if I remember correctly, I think he's trying to make history repeat himself. If I'm right, Jason, last Wednesday night, Dan West Jr. picked up the win at Iowa Speedway, and he led all 175 laps of that race last Wednesday.
Yeah, and that is absolutely huge statement for a driver like DWJ. He's done just that here tonight, led all 64 laps that we've completed so far, trying to lead them all, and obviously he's doing just that. Tonight would be 2 races in a row for him if he were to do that again.
Oh yeah, a little bit of history repeating, if you will, if that does come to fruition right now. And let's go inside the broadcast booth as we are approaching the midway point of the race. Halfway will be coming to the air next time by. It is the LSRTV mid-race report hard to believe this race has flew by as fast as it has, that we are already halfway through. Jason Rockefeller down below. I'm Wesley Outlet Charles, working up on the production side of things. So far, so good. After midnight Eastern time, they are talking about a possibility of doing some maintenance if that does happen. Radio-wise, we'll quickly on CRN go to commercials and come back when the racing resumes. If it happens in the video feed, stay right here with us on YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook, I would say stay on Facebook, but if it does go offline, quickly go to our LSRTV YouTube feed. As we saw Tindrick bounce off the wall, off the safer barrier just a moment ago, Tindrick as well as Troy Daggett in tow. Jason, here we go again. Seems like it's Wednesday night all over again. It is the Dan West Jr. show. Nobody, and I mean nobody, has been able to make a run after him. He is literally dominating this event in the 55.
Yeah, and he's done just such a great job, obviously, being able to keep the field at bay. But, you know, let's just take a look, though, for a second. Look who's right behind him right there.
Here
in that 25 machine and the 22, both Ryan Bloom and Ryan Gormley. Obviously, Gormley, second seed coming into tonight. Ryan Bloom, 8th seed on the board. So maybe now that we've gone, obviously, looking back at the stats right now, these guys last pitted at lap 30. So now they are just approaching 40 laps of green flag racing. They've fallen off. You go to Dan West Jr.'s best lap time, 31.022. Last time around, nearly 33 seconds. So we have had almost nearly, 2 seconds of fall off per lap. So it's crazy to think that we thought DWJ could lead every single lap, and now he's in trouble right now. He very well could fall to second, he could fall to third, and then you also have Sean Brightsman. They are back by less than 2 seconds total. So that first place to fifth place car only separated by 1 3/4 of a second. I don't know, man. I think that DWJ very well could be falling off for sure on this long run.
Let's go back to the on-track action. That's been the LSRTV mid-race report. You got a 3-car battle for the lead, about to become 4 if Paul Newton can stick his nose in the gunfight. Sean Brightsman also top 5, about to be throwing a blanket over him. But there you see, Jason, Dan West Jr., as you mentioned, under attack. Bloom, Gormley coming after him. There you got the number 8 seed of Ryan Bloom, number 2 seed Ryan Gormley right there. They win this race. You will go to the championship 4 and meet Dan West Jr. in 3 weeks at Auto Club.
Well, hold your horses, not just yet, because remember, if DWJ wins this race, he's already locked in. He doesn't need to go out there and win this race. He just wants to make sure that this crowd behind him knows who is boss, and he has been boss here the second half of the season. I mean, you go back, obviously, even, you know, all the way back to when we returned. I mean, you look at the races. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wins since we came back after Labor Day.
Right.
That is a huge statement. Out of the 8 races that we've run from the comeback, he has won 4 of those, or excuse me, 5 out of the 8 races, which is a huge deal. So don't count your chickens yet. DWJ very well, though, could be pulling away.
Stephen Bartlett on pit road now. A green flag pit stop for the man of Stephen Bartlett. To the attention of his crew. Remember, we announced the announcement of what James Vining, Frank Harris, Stephen Paulison, and Stephen Bartlett, Jason, creating a esports race team together. And you got, of course, you know, you've got 1-5 Studios in Beaver State in the past. You've got Team LSRTV and Win Racing. Well, there you go. Let's just add another team. And honestly, it really is good because you know you got somebody that you can rely on as an ally on the racetrack as Dennis Moore eats the wall with the concrete on the safer barrier. Still keeps on going, and right now he falls all the way back to 7th. Chris White just got around him, Jason. But yeah, man, having teammates is, I think, going to be good for those drivers for sure. No, Dennis Moore! Oh, I think he lost it. Oh, he saves it. My. Wow. I literally was thinking one word, Jason, crash for the Win Racing 44 Chevrolet. He saves it, we stay green.
Yeah, we're going to see maybe if we can get a replay on that 44 machine coming off turn 4 just a lap ago. Boy, oh boy, he had it with a handful off the corner right there, nearly just spun it out into the grass, overcorrected it, but was able to keep it back going.
Replay coming. Oh my boy, that was, you know, we get excited because of that, Jason, but that literally could have been a lot more worse. And understanding that Dennis Moore's got damage on the 44 from where he probably hit the wall in the safer barrier. And there he is under the wall again. Wow. We stay green though. Dan West Jr. continuing to be the man to hit his spot. Ryan Bloom in that second spot. Paul Newton third. Here comes Gormley. Sean Brightsman top 5. There you are. And but Jason, here's the deal. Every time we see these cars reeling in Sean, or I'm sorry, reeling in DWJ, he puts on the afterburners and pulls away from him by half a second again.
Yeah, I think what he probably did, Wesley, was save a lot of tire possibly, and now he's able to kind of maintain that gap behind Ryan Bloom by just about half a second. I mean,
yeah,
last time around, Ryan Bloom was only back by about 0.02 of a second, and now he could fall Newton. Oh, and here we go, green flag pit stop starting. Knew it was going to be coming sometime soon, didn't have any thought, but first car of the night to come down during green flag stops. DWJ decides, guys, you're not doing the undercut on me. He's going to be the first one electing to come off pit road.
Dan West Jr., strategy-wise, gives up the lead for the first time tonight after an 80-lap green flag run, 78 laps to be exact, if you want to be honest, to Ryan Bloom. And now Paul Newton is the man that took the lead away from Ryan Bloom. There's action going on with the racetrack. Ryan Bloom's coming on pit road. Here comes Win Racing 25, and he locks up the tires. Bloom is in. Dennis Moore coming down pit road in the 44. Chris White also coming down pit road. Hey, Jason, listen, buddy. Monkey see, monkey do. The leader of the cavalry was Dan West Jr. When he pitted, I think everybody else said, "Whoa, this is the Pied Piper of tonight here in Kentucky. We got to follow what he does."
Oh, and Dennis Moore overshoots his pit box coming in. That's going to be huge time loss for the 44 machine once he exits pit road, plus the damage to that right rear. Here comes Jeff Stab now, BJ Hendrick. Hendrick! Oh, I believe he might have missed the pit road line, but I believe he will be okay for that 72 In-N-Out Burger Camaro, nearly making contact with Jeff Stab. Now, you have to be careful getting onto pit road, just like most mile and a halves. This is for sure a tricky one. But Wesley, to touch back on your point, yes, for sure, monkey see, monkey do, and they have to do that for sure. Because look at the lap times fall off. I mean, that's 2 seconds, over 2 seconds worth of fall off from the best lap time that was presented by DWJ to his slowest lap time right before he went to the pits. I mean, you just have to pit, or else you're going to let Dan West Jr. get out by over 2 seconds.
Green flag pit stops continuing. Lap number 81. Toby Ritters, Joshua Marcy, Troy Daggett all coming in. Ryan Gormley now in the second spot, trying to run down Paul Newton. Newton has not pitted yet. He pitted on lap number 30. There he is on the back straightaway. Gormley and Brightsman right there with him on the bottom of the racetrack in turn number 3. Inside. And Newton will give up the lead. Gormley in 22 into the top spot. Paul Newton's on pit road. Green flag pit stops continue. Lap number 83. And Jason, there are only now 5 cars on the lead lap. That's it.
Yeah, but once this race here gets back through the green flag cycle pit stop, you're going to see all those cars that were lapped down get back up on the lead lap. The question for me is going to be,
How long will Ryan Gormley, Brightsman, King, and Ottenbacher stay out? Ottenbacher's got nothing to lose. He might as well just wait all the way until that thing runs dry. Brightsman up and into the wall on turn number 4, but not a lot of damage to that 46 machine. These are the two guys I would be worrying about, because obviously you look at them, second and third coming into tonight with their seeds into the playoffs as Gormley hits the wall barely off turn number 2, gives that lead to Sean Brightsman entering 3. He'll go to the bottom. Will they pit this time? We'll have to see. But the one driver that I'm considered with here comes Ryan Gormley coming in this time. But Wesley, the one guy that I'm worried about is Tyler King. Remember, we talked about how he has had an abysmal night, and he needed a good night. Being in 7th in the playoffs coming in, he's been the worst at the playoff drivers. He needs to try something different. This could be his opportunity if a caution is presented at the right time to him.
Lost 3 spots last week. He was in 5th or 4th. He fell all the way to 7th, and Ryan Gormley, oh my goodness, what were you thinking? He has overshot his pit stall by 6 markers, and then he overshoots entering the pit stall and going reverse. He's still trying to fight the car to pit road. This is heartbreak for the 22 of Ryan Gormley. Wow,
Absolutely.
Jason Rockefeller, that is not what you want to do. Not in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, absolutely, for sure, Wesley. That is not what the 22 needed, and he didn't just miss it by 1 or 2. You said it. He missed it by about 5 or 6 pit boxes, and that is a huge difference. The fact that he had to reverse it back into his stall, that is going to be huge. That very well could be also a black flag for the number 22, but haven't heard or seen anything that would indicate him getting a black flag. But it looks like he's going to be all right. But at the cost of that, no black flag means that he's just going to be really, really far in the back. And he was a driver who was running really fast. Talked about how much raw speed he had with that race car back in the first half of the race. And now he's going to be mired back in more traffic.
Ottenbacher now the new leader. There he is on the back straightaway. John Ottenbacher from Billings, Montana. 3rd on the on-time list of racers. This is his 387th career start at Northwest tonight. He's on pit road. 3 poles, 7 wins, 78 top 5s, 173 top 10s. Dismal year for the 89, Jason. He's on pit road taking every advantage possible to go for an undercut, but we knew he had to pit. And guess who's back up in front again?
WJ, no surprise there. That 55 machine played it just right. Remember, he needed to have a good stop. Well, he did have a good stop, but he didn't let anybody overcut or undercut him, rather. He decided to pit at the right time, and now look at him. Went from about half a second with a lead. Now he finds himself 1 1/4 second in front of Ryan Bloom.
Let's give you your full field rundown now as we're approaching lap 100 and over 40 laps to go here tonight at Kentucky. It's Dan West Jr. on the pit cycle back to the lead. Ryan Bloom second. Dan West Jr. Christopher White is in 3rd. Jeff Stabnow comfortably, consistently in the top 5 4th. Paul Newton is 5th. Dennis Moore 6th. Sean Brightsman, Dan Lowther, Joshua Marcy, BJ Tidrick, your top 10 on lap 90.
Yeah, and then obviously you have the rest of the field too. Troy Daggett, Ritters, Collison, King, Gormley. Those are your drivers who are on the lead lap. Then you get further into the back from 16th on back. Guys who are a lap down or more. Bartlett, Ottenbacher, who decided to take that late strategy. Same for Brett Johnson, Frank Harris, not working out for them. They're multiple laps down. Then you have James Vining, 76 laps down from his contact early. And then obviously Carl Burke did not start the race. But Wesley, DWJ, looking stronger and stronger every lap. I mean, that gap, it's only gained a little bit, maybe about 0.2 of a second from the last time we mentioned it. But look at this battle going on here. Contact entering 1 and 2. Jeff Stabnow and Paul Newton battle side by side exiting 2.
All this happening now between Stabnow and Newton. We're approaching 100 laps. We're going to go side by side. You don't miss a thing. We're heading to the
driving experience possible. race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
We're a racing family that you can trust on and off the track. So if you're looking for foundation repair, go online or give us a call to schedule your free inspection. If we fix your foundation and you mention Race On Texas, you will get a 1-year free subscription to the All Access Pass.
At CLICKIT RV, we know there's a lot of heritage and history at this location. RV sales and service has been part of this community for decades. We knew there was an incredible opportunity here, but to see where we've come in just a year is incredible. None of it would be possible without the patronage and support from this community. So whether it be a more convenient and accessible service drive, a fully stocked parts department, or this amazing sales facility, what drives this team daily is making sure our customers leave here with the best possible experience.
Looking to the inside of Turner, trying to make it 3 wide down the back straightaway, nearly does.
Last night the track was very slick. You know, we had 2 good grooves.
Anyway, just another some of that.
There's people in the stands. That means there's people watching.
About to approach lap 100 here in the playoffs at the virtual Kentucky Speedway. No change in the running order as we were side by side. You didn't miss anything. Dan West Jr. continuing to lead the cavalry here. Ryan Bloom, Christopher White, Paul Newton, Sean Breitzman, top 5. Jason, we're heading to lap 100. And man, oh man, he just, I say it again, Dan West Jr. has just showed his strengths in being a champion for the Northwest CLICKIT RV Fixed Setup Series. He wants it, and he is literally firing on all cylinders, everything going right to put himself into that category. It's Dan West Jr. right now working his way back off the corner. Dan West Jr. I was starting to talk about some of his stats. Dan West Jr. number 6 of all the racers on the Northwest in all stats combined. His 311th career race tonight. He's got 14 poles, 16 wins, 131 top 5s, and 217 top 10s. Leading up to tonight's race of Northwest, Dan West Jr. has led, so listen to this number. This is going to blow you away. The most of anybody, Jason Rockefeller, of anybody in the Northwest. Dan West Jr. in all laps led, 6,914. That's not counting tonight.
Yeah, that's absolutely huge for DWJ. To be able to lead that many laps is a huge statement, you know, for him. And he still probably has a long time before he wants to hang up the virtual steering wheel here in the Northwest Division. So that very well could get to 10,000 laps before you know it easily. But what a strong run again here tonight by DWJ. A second and 3/4 over it now, as we're just under 34 laps to go.
There, Chris White. He is a former champion of the Northwest Cup Series, making his 311th career start tonight in that Studio 17 Chevy Camaro. He was in the hunt for the Cup champion or the Truck Championship, had to bow out because of work. Schedule changes logistically eliminated him from the Monday, and he's put all of his eggs in the basket on the Wednesday series. And right now, with 14 poles, 16 wins, 131 top 5s, and 217 top 10s, Jason Christopher White right now just kind of riding in the top 5, but he's got to make an effort to climb here, as right now he is the first driver out in the playoffs to make it to the championship 4 right now.
Yeah, we talked about, Wesley, remember, entering this round, you did not need to come out here and have good runs. You needed to have great runs. And by great runs, I mean top 3 to top 5 speed week in and week out, obviously. And we've seen drivers do that. We've seen Ryan Gormley have some good runs. Obviously, he is mired back now in 14th due to missing his pit stall by not just a little, but about 6 boxes. But then you have drivers like Ryan Bloom. This second place run here tonight, if he were to finish in his top 3, obviously it's not a win. You want to win. But he has to look on the bright side. Entering in next week with 1 race to go with Vegas, that would be huge for him because he was not that far back from second to where he is in 8th coming into tonight. He was only back by a little less than 12 points rather. So that's absolutely huge for Ryan Bloom to be running second right now. So again, you needed to have good runs, and not good runs rather, but great runs here tonight. Ryan Bloom, Sean Brightsman doing just that.
Under 30 laps to go. Daggett and Tidrick battling. That is going on for the top 10. Probably the best battle on the racetrack. Watching them working their way off the corner out of 4. And obviously Dan West Jr. 2 seconds, about a second and a half. The interval. Right now you're looking at it from the leader. Everybody on back. 14 cars on the lead lap, Jason. Ryan Gormley. And listen to this, Jason. Here is what happens to you when you make those costly mistakes on pit road. Look at the hole Ryan Gormley put himself in. He's on the lead lap, yes. But for Ryan Gormley, that mistake, overshooting 6 pit boxes, going forward, then going in reverse and overshooting his pit box again to finally get to his pit stall. He lost countless time because of that. Bartlett back on pit road.
Yeah, he lost a ton of time, obviously, and he is right now the last car on the lead lap. And I mean, that's huge for Ryan Gormley. There's a lot of guys, obviously, out here running who just haven't had a lot of mistakes. And Ryan Gormley needs to finish really, really well. And, I mean, coming into tonight, you were second seeded, man. If these guys in front of you finish way better like they're doing, and they're going to earn a heck of a lot more points than you, you're going to be in deep, deep trouble heading into Vegas next week.
That's where we'll be for the penultimate race of the season, the final race of the round of 8 playoffs to lock in the final 4 next Wednesday night. And then 2 weeks from tonight, the championship race. It'll all be decided at Auto Club Speedway. Jason, I say this, and I say this honestly, it's amazing how fast the years flew by. I know we had a little, 15-week break during the Memorial Day to Labor Day, summer's month, but we still did other races. We had like 3 different leagues with a 5-race summer series, and they were really, really fun. But man, I'm telling you, overall, this entire year has just flew by, and before you know it, we'll be crowning a champion here in a few weeks, and then we'll all stop and reset and recharge the batteries to go for 2024.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, I mean, you think back to it, obviously. I mean, it was literally like, you know, we were back at Daytona just yesterday, watching Tidrick win at Daytona, and that was huge. Right. It was like, you know, yesterday, you know, or we were watching Devin West win at Atlanta, Jeff Stabnow win at Kansas, obviously. I mean, it's amazing how far this season has gone and how quick
quickly the ending has approached us. I mean, I feel like I was already watching I feel like I was just watching the 2022 Daytona, or 2023 Daytona 500 yesterday. We're already approaching the last week of NASCAR competition. And obviously, we're still, last race of the year for not only the trucks, but also the Xfinity Series, the Cup Series, and also the ARCA Series. You know, I mean, it's just been such a great year for us. Obviously, Wesley, my second year over here at LSRTV. I've had a blast calling these races, and I'm definitely looking forward to the great things we have coming for us in 2024.
Yeah, 20 laps to go, but they come to the line next time by. To the home stretch we go here at Kentucky. By the way, one caution flag so far in this race. That's been it. One yellow flag. Dan West Jr. hitting his march, continuing to lead the way. There goes Ryan Bloom. He's in second. Brightsman there in third. 20 to go, as we mentioned. Boy, if those guys have got anything up their sleeves on the 55 double nickel, Jason Rockefeller, you better show it now, because, man, stealth mode is in BWJ and clean air to boot in 3.
Yeah, and I mean, the fact that DWJ is able to not put on like a performance like he did last week once, but to do it again here, 2 weeks in a row now, if he could close this out, would be huge. I mean, again, the gap is only a second and a half right now, a little over a second and a half rather, but, I mean, we saw him fall off once, but I believe he was saving a lot of tire. What do Bloom, Brightsman, Newton possibly have for this 55, or can the 55 go back-to-back here this week?
We'll pause for 10 seconds of network identification and bring this one to the house. The playoffs from Kentucky on the Community Radio Network.
Community Radio Network, WCRN 87.9 FM, Clayton, Garner, Raleigh, North Carolina, USA. We are CRN.
Laps to go when they come to the line. Dan West Jr. continues to lead up. Wesley Outland, Jason Rockefeller alongside. It is Charles Wooten, and fingers crossed we can go the distance. Everything's been calm, cool, collective, and no tech issues either. Don't forget, next week, penultimate race of the season, final race of the round of 8 in Vegas. Sim City, as we call it in the world of iRacing. And right now, Bloom and Brightsman going at it. This is for second spot. And Jason, Ryan Bloom wants to stay up there, but Sean Brightsman, no doubt about it, man. He's also trying to be a clinic. Ryan Bloom is number 8 seed. He's doing all he can to stay at least second. If he can't beat the winner, he at least wants to get in by wins of points.
Yeah, and obviously, Wesley, he knows he's probably not going to have a chance at going for this win just because this 55 is so strong. So with that being said, he needs to run against Sean Brightsman, Paul Newton, the hardest he can, because every point is valuable here for this 25, and I hear we're having an issue on the racetrack, possibly. BJ Kendrick, caution is out, 15 laps to go off turn number 4. BJ Kendrick around, and will bring out another yellow. Wesley, this changes everything.
Second caution of the race. This changes everything. I mime what Nathan just said. Wow. Look at this, Marcy, and they're 3 wide. Marcy and Kendrick. And oh my, you know what, Jason? That's shades of what happened between Marcy and Harris.
Frazier.
Yes, in the most recent caution, about the same spot.
I was going to say, I had last week on my mind. Remember last week? I want to see if, Charles, we can try to go back to that replay one more time. Remember last week between Tyler King
and Seth Frazier, there was an incident where
yeah.
they got into the
yeah.
corner and got hooked up together, and they spun very, very awkwardly out of turn number 2, almost an exact replica of what happened one weekend ago in the cornfields of Iowa. You're going to see here, this is coming into 1 and 2, so half a lap from the incident. Tidrick running this outside. He'll get the run down the back straightaway off Troy Daggett. Then he's going to shoot to the bottom. Now, you could say in defense on Tidrick's part that the 35 really put him in a tight box right here, but watch this. Just glides across the door, and then they get hooked up right there. And then all of a sudden, pow, right there to the outside wall goes Tidrick. Nothing you could do. Not really at fault of Josh Marcy. He put the 72 in a tight box, but the 72 also really dove it into the corner. So definitely a racing deal, but a hard hit. And now we have pit stops. Who's going to win the race on pit road? Breitzman's got a good stop. He's going to beat the 55 out of the box.
Amazing. 2 tires for Sean Breitzman's what we're being told. Ryan Gormley taking 2-tire strategy to try to get back into the game after having an issue in the pit stops. During green flag pit stops, this will put him back in 7th. And Sean Breitzman, Dan West Jr., Ryan Bloom, there you see him right there. A couple of cars that are going to take the wave around in front of the leaders. That's Stephen Bartlett and Brett Johnson. Brett Johnson will take the wave around, Jason, because that'll give him the lead lap back. Johnson will. Bartlett will be now just 1 lap down.
And you know something, Wesley, too? One thing to note about that set of green flag pit stops. The one thing to note about it is, think about this. Ryan Gormley is the best driver that this benefits right here, because obviously you mentioned lost all those positions on pit road. This 2-tire gamble from him, I'd like it. I think it's going to be interesting. Obviously, we haven't seen what 2 tires is going to do. I myself don't know what 2 tires is going to do. I want to say he's not going to have as much grip, but he's going to have those right sides for supports going through the corner, so he can lean off of that right rear just a little more, because he's got the fresh sides, the fresh right side tires. But the thing is that he's got old used left side tires. But with that being said, he's not going to have any time to probably get towards the front. That's a given, unless we have a major wreck and all of a sudden the front 6 cars wreck somehow, which is highly unlikely. But it's racing. You never know. We've seen crazier things before. We've seen the whole field wreck and watched, who was it? It was it was James Busher go from 11th to 1st in 1 corner at the end of the 2012 Drive for COPD 300 at Daytona, and won his very first career NASCAR Xfinity Series race. So you never know. But with that being said, Ryan Gormley now finds himself in a position where he can get more points than what he would have had that race have gone green to the end.
Looking for a green flag at least next time by. Hopefully 1 to go at the line. It'll be a 10-lap shootout. By the way, we're still in the regular scheduled distance of 134 laps. There is still an opportunity for 3 attempts at overtime if need be. Let's take a look at the Virginia811.com call before you dig race summary. Leading up to this one with 10 to go when they come to the green. And there you see it. 2 total cautions. The most recent one with the incident there. 6 caution laps. And 7 lead changes. Dan West Jr. has been the Pied Piper. But Jason, here you go. You got Sean Breitzman right there at the number 3 spot. And remember what we talked about, and we've heard these from other drivers. I'm in the championship for. Maybe I will help one of my fellow men get in as well. Well, guess who's in the lead? Sean Breitzman. Guess who's a teammate to Sean Breitzman? Dan West Jr. Team LSRTV 1, 2, and 5 when we come back to green.
Yeah, this is going to be a really exciting finish, but you got to remember, DWJ wants to win. I know he wants to help Sean Brightsman, but he wants to do it fair and square. So this is going to be a really, really interesting restart here. 10 to go, Wesley. We're coming to the restart.
Working back to the Geico restart zone. Here comes the cavalry at Kentucky. Restart. Green light. Brightsman on it. Pulls away by a car leak on DWJ. Ryan Bloom right there in the spot there behind him, the number 8 seed. Here you go with Sean Brightsman also. And Jeff Stabnow right behind him, 3 and 4 in the points. Working the back straightaway.
Everybody kind of shuffling all over the place as they enter 3 and 4. DWJ, he's got to try to run that middle lane. Pull a little bit of a crossover if he wants to get past Brightsman, but you look at the battle going on for third. That's Ryan Bloom, Jeff Stabnow, Paul Newton, 3 wide across the line now as they go into 1.
Ryan Bloom in the middle as a pick. Split between Newton and Stabnow. Stabnow up to third. It's Team LSRTV in the top 3 to the back straightaway going to 3. And look at him slicing and dicing to the back.
Oh, they're 3 wide again, entering 3 and 4. Marcy, Tidrick, or not rather Tidrick, that was Ritters and Dennis Moore. All of them slid up the racetrack, but they get double file again now across the start-finish line. 3 wide once again. Josh Marcy hooked in front of the field. He's going to go around. Toby Ritters around into turn 1 hard up into the safer barrier. That's going to bring out another caution as Ritters gets hit by the 39 of Stephen Bartlett.
Caution out. 8 laps to go. Third yellow of the race. It's getting antsy in Kentucky. Jason, you saw it break loose. Trouble and the caution in turn number 1.
Wow, what a hard hit into the outside wall. You saw them go 3 wide. Dennis Moore got a really good run off turn number 4, side drafting the 35, and then coming into 1 and 2. The 35 just closes the door a little too quickly on the 44, chops right up in front of him, gets into Ritters, and then here comes Stephen Bartlett. Just doesn't get slowed up in time, and he makes heavy contact with the 23 of Ritters, and that brings out a heavy caution late in the going, and this now sets up yet another restart, but with less laps to go.
My, oh my. Ritters crashed, littered on the bottom of the racetrack out of 1. Marcy. And Jason, I don't want to say this, man, but we've seen Joshua Marcy do some kind of spontaneous moves, if you will, 3 times now.
Yeah, I mean, we very well could see
twice, yeah.
I mean, this is the thing about this restart here. You got to think, Wesley, is obviously the way that this track races right here. When they restart, obviously, they're not going to have a lot of time to get up towards the front if your drivers like Paul Newton, Chris White, and I mean, DWJ is going to race his teammate right there with all due respect, and the same goes for the 24 of Jeff Stabnow. But remember, this is a spot for the Final 4. Who is going to get it? Right. Jeff Stabnow needs a win. He's in the mid-pack of those points. Sean Brightsman, he is pretty good on points. He's sitting pretty, even if he were to finish second, but he wants to solidify himself because you never know when you go into Vegas next week if you're going to wreck on lap 1 and then use that fast repair and then wreck again. You just don't know. So you have to be courteous and you have to race aggressive, but also clean.
And this just, and I say this in the nicest way, Jason, and this just rocks the very foundation of possibly seeing cautions, precautions here in this event. Did you see how intense the racing was on the restart?
Yeah,
I mean, it was amazing.
Crazy, but it is what it is, and that's what's going to happen here with these late races, or these late race restarts, rather. You're going to have moves, you're going to have guys being aggressive, but, you know, you're going to have guys who are given room all race long, but they're not going to give you an inch, and if they're going to give you an inch, they might give you a quarter of an inch this time here on this restart. It's going to get down to the nitty-gritty of this race. We're going to restart probably here
We're going to realistically take, I'd say, the 1 to go signal with 4 to go. Then we're going to restart with 3. So you have 3 laps to try to get around this track to solidify yourself into that championship 4. If you're Brightsman, Stabnow, Newton, Chris White, haven't talked about him much all night. He's driving a car that looks like John Ottenbacher's usually, but so he's got some new colors on that 47 machine. He could be trying to look at going to victory lane, and he's been kind of just sitting pretty in that 5th to 10th place spot all night long. Wow.
4 laps to go when they come to the line. And possibly we could be able to restart this race in the regular scheduled distance. By the way, there is 3 attempts at overtime if need be. There is 3 attempts for overtime if necessary. And this just really, here you go. You had a long green flag run. Dan West Jr. looks like he's about to just run away with this thing, Jason. And then all of a sudden you have a caution with under 20 laps to go, 15 to go. And now you have another caution with 8 to go. Lights off on the pace car. 4 laps to go. Still in the scheduled distance with 3 remaining on the green. Next time by, lap 131. And everybody up there is hungry. And how about this? Team LSRTV. Jason, I don't want to sound like a broken record saying this, but 1 week it's LSRTV, the next week it's Win Racing. 1 week it's LSRTV, the next week it's Win Racing. Well, here's the deal. Dan West Jr., Team LSRTV, he's in the Final 4. We know this. Brightsman, Stabnow, they're hungry. They're going to want to win. They're going to want to be in the victory lane. But we also know Dan West Jr. is not just going to bow and give it to him, Jason. We know that.
Yeah, definitely not for sure. He's going to race him probably a little differently than he would, but remember, he wants to try to go out here and win this race. The 2 guys you got to watch out who are going to battle a little bit harder than, say, if DWJ was battling one of them. Watch Sean Brightsman and Jeff Stabnow. They're not locked in. Brightsman 3rd in the points, Stabnow outside looking in. We're about to find out. Right. 3 laps to go. Will we have another yellow? We're going to find out right here.
Back to the line. A little shake-up in the back. They finally fan back out straight. And we're not going to go, oh boy, almost 3 wide again. Newton thought about going to the bottom. He thought about going after Dan West Jr. The 3 wide in the middle. Chris White, contact, Gormley, Moore. They're not backing down. He's in trouble. Gormley's in the wall. Dennis Moore's in the wall. Troy Daggett gets spun. He packs into Pauliston. Ottenbacher crashes. Chris White's in the safer area. So is Tyler King. Caution out now. We go to overtime. Oh my goodness.
That was
How
like
many cautions do you have to have?
That was like a wreck after wreck after wreck scenario. That started from the exit of 2 all the way to the center of 3 and 4. And Chris White around. We're going to take a look right here at the replay, Wesley. You're going to see Sean Brightsman get out to a very, very extended lead right here out of the Geico restart zone. And honestly, Wesley, I would like to say possibly that I think that 46 machine jumped the restart if that's the case, because he fired out of the restart zone even before they hit the restart zone. But here we go. White lose into Gormley. They save it. Plows into Dennis Moore. That front bumper's gone. Paulison gets hit into Ottenbacher. Tyler King comes up, slams into the 47. And then they both go into the wall.
Jason, that was 4 wrecks in a turn and a half around the racetrack. Half the distance to the racetrack. Four cautions. Wow.
That was just crazy. That was crazy. Again, wreck after wreck after wreck, and it goes from the exit at 2 all the way to the center of 3 and 4.
Whew. The outside lane, definitely. Man, oh boy, I don't know if there's a way. Charles, is there a way we can get the restart? I'd like to see the restart, if we can. I want to see the restart. Eating ice cream. The restart on the outside. I want to keep an eye on the outside, Jason, and you called it. I want to see if maybe Brightsman fired a little early on Dan West Jr. Whew, man.
Yeah, I noticed right there, Wesley, going out of turn 4. This 46 launches a little earlier than most of the field right here before they even hit the Geico restart zone. Now remember, you can turn off the Geico restart zone on race sessions before you start them up and have them enabled or disabled. So maybe I could be wrong.
I don't think
maybe
they
have it set.
I don't think they use them.
Yeah,
I don't think they use
might
them
not.
actually.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. Just because remember too, before they added the Geico restart zone earlier this year within the sim, I believe, or maybe it was the end of last year, the rule is that you can either, obviously in today's standards, you could enable the Geico restart zone and you have to fire out of that restart zone, whether it be the first line or that second line. If you're the race leader and don't fire out of the second line, it's all game. The guy who's opposing you on opposite lane, they can go whenever if you don't fire out of that restart zone. But if you have the Geico restart zone disabled on a racetrack, you can go anytime that pace car hits that commitment line on pit road. So you can go anywhere from the pit commitment line that the pace car hits at the time all the way to the start finish line. So Sean Brightsman timing it just perfect there, rather.
And of course, in addition to that, you know, we were watching Brightsman and Dan West Jr. and amongst what happened on the restart, it also looked like that either from the restart by Brightsman made Dan West Jr. either check up or brake check, and it made the entire outside line basically chain reaction behind him, and that bunched up the entire pack. So I think the Northwest officials are definitely going to keep an eye on this. If I remember correctly, I don't believe the restart zone is working. It's basically they fire in the box, pace car comes to the pit lane. As a matter of fact, Jason, remember the other night we were doing a race in the Northwest trucks, and we had a restart where a guy launched away. I think it was Ryan Bloom did. The pace car came onto the pit lane, and Ryan Bloom took off, and nobody could catch him. He got a great restart, so I think it's fair. So we're going to overtime. This is overtime number 1. And there is no restart zone. We have just been informed there is no restart zone. So basically, again, as Jason said, it's fair game. Pace car drops onto the pit lane. Jason, you can fire any time you want to. You can take it all the way to the blue box, or you could fire whenever the pace car pulls onto pit road, you know, like we saw Monday night with Ryan Bloom.
Yeah, and if you're Jeff Stabnow right here, Wesley, you have to focus on that 46 car in this restart. If he gets a jump like he does right here, Sean Brightsman's gone. There's no doubt about it. So if you're Jeff Stabnow, you have to have a good restart here.
Dan West Jr., the dominator of this race, has fell back to 3rd alongside Paul Newton. Troy Daggett with a front end miss and is in the top 10, along with Ryan Bloom and Ryan Gormley back up there again. This is overtime number 1. They take the white flag. Race is official next time around. If they don't, we'll re-rack, go for take 2. Overtime, playoffs at Kentucky underway. And Brightsman, great restart. Dan West Jr. snapped down side by side into turn number 1, Jason.
Stabnow trying to hold that 55 down the bottom, pinch him a little bit, but it looks like DWJ almost able to clear the 24 off corner exit. They're starting to get dicey in the back, nearly 3 wide. Tyler King had to go all the way to the bottom, coming to the white flag this time. It's not over. Sean Brightsman only has a car length of room between him, the 55 and the 24. White flags in the air one more time around in the bluegrass state.
Race is official. Final time with a mile remaining. Back straightaway, Sean Brightsman. He's got about 2 car lengths on Stabnow to the backstretch, final time.
And Jeff Stabnow gets loose off the corner for the final time. It's looking like all clear path for Sean Brightsman for the final time on the board.
Sean Brightsman can lock himself in now to the championship 4. The number 3 seed holds him off 3 wide to the line. Stabnow gets it to Dan West Jr. They're spinning. Stabnow spins below the bottom of turn number 1. Checkered flag in the air, and it's Sean Brightsman, Dan West Jr., Jeff Stabnow in a shower of sparks on the bottom of the racetrack as he crashed, coming to the line. Team LSRTV. Not giving an inch, not giving anyone a mile, even his teammates. And Jason Sean Brightsman has punched his ticket in to the championship 4. He joins his teammate Dan West Jr. in 2 weeks at Auto Club.
2 tires, man. It worked. I said it was going to be a good call probably, and hey, he was able to do it, leapfrog the 55 in the pits by 1 spot, and it pays off, and now he finds himself with a chance to go run for a championship. Great job by Brightsman.
Celebration on. Oh, and the high five salute is also underway. What a great last lap of racing, Jason. There you go. You know what? And that's teammates that are wanting to win. Brightsman, Stabnow, West. They're wanting to win, but they're not just going to give it to each other. You're going to fight for it. And you saw literally Stabnow getting into Dan West Jr. Because he had a run to try to make a run for at least second. That's what people don't realize. You got to try to, if you can't win the race, you're going to position-wise, Jason, to try to help yourself climb the points ladder.
Yeah, for sure, and I think we got to go check on Sean Brightsman after that one, because that was a hard hit after the checkered flag. Not once, but the 21 decided to get under him like a snowplow right there and just completely dogpile him. But yeah, that's what you got to do. And I mean, Jeff had a great run exiting turn number 2, just got a little loose, and I think that's what really enabled Sean Brightsman to have that win secured off too.
Sean Brightsman's car looks like it's now been in a fair demolition derby. It's completely destroyed. But when it counts the most, he wins. Holds off Dan West Jr. by half a second almost. Jeff Stabnow right there behind him in 3rd. Paul Newton will finish in 4th. Tyler King, your top 5. Ryan Bloom, John Ottenbacher, Christopher White, Troy Daggett, Ryan Gormley, your top 10. I await to see, Jason, what the new point shuffle will be. Man, oh man, what a finish here in overtime number 1 here at Iowa.
Yeah,
Kentucky,
we're going to take a look here. We're going to take a look at the rest of the field right here. Johnson, Paulison, Toby Ritter's heartbreaker for him after having a nice top 10 run going for him tonight. Bartlett, Dennis Moore, late in the going. Hard crash for him after running top 10. Josh Marcy, Tidrick, Lowther, Frank Harris, James Vining, early incident obviously. And then you have Carl Burke, last who did not make a lap here tonight. At your full field of 21 cars tonight at Kentucky.
For Sean Brightsman, Jason, in his 390th Northwest career start, the all-time winner adds another win to the column. Win number 74. He also punches his ticket in to the championship for the Northwest CLICKIT RV Fixed Series here at Kentucky. Here's one more look at the race summary presented by Virginia811.com. Dig with care. Listen, highly entertaining. Long green flag runs, caution at the end, really made it interesting. 4 cautions in total, 15 green flag laps, 138 laps the total distance, by the way, with an extra add-on for overtime of 4. And lead changes are 7. Sean Brightsman got that last lead change on a pit stop with Dan West Jr., Jason, and never look back. That's Virginia811.com reminding you, dig with care. Coming up, the Press Box Motorsports post-race podcast update. And we'll grab the top 3. We'll get their thoughts. It's an all LSRTV podium. Sean Brightsman, though, joining Dan West Jr. as the next driver in the championship 4. 2 weeks at Auto Club. We're back in a moment. LSRTV and CRN. It's the Press Box Motorsports Podcast post-race updates in the playoffs for the Northwest CLICKIT RV Fixed Series in the books. Team LSRTV 1, 2, 3. I'm Wesley Outland, Jason Rockefeller alongside Charles Wooten. Phenomenal job on the production. Let's grab the podium, shall we? Third place, Jeff Stabnow. 2 podiums in a row this week, by the way, and last week in a shower of sparks, Jeff. Trying to make a move on Dan West Jr., trying to make a move on Sean Brightsman. Got to settle for third, but obviously, like I said in the broadcast, if you can't win the race, you got to at least finish and advance higher positions than these other guys to get as many points as possible. Am I right, Jeff?
Well, yeah, I was going for the win, but, I'm not going to complain about third.
Yeah, and Jeff, congratulations, obviously, on finishing third here tonight, man. You come into tonight, you were 4th in the playoff standings, just holding that last spot by 1 point above Chris, and you come home with a third-place run, man. I talked about it with Wesley, and it's the same thing, obviously, in the real NASCAR playoffs. If you want to make sure you can solidify yourself going into this Championship 4, you have to finish top 3 to top 5 in this round of 8. You head into Vegas with a good points tonight, obviously, like tonight. How do you feel like your chances are going into next week to make sure you make the Final 4?
Well, I don't know where we're at on the points, but if I got to do better on the long runs at Vegas than I did tonight. I really, if this thing went green, I wasn't going to finish anywhere in the top 3. I just was using those tires up too bad tonight. I was good on the short run. Got a couple great restarts there on those last cautions that really bailed me out. So I'm not going to be able to count on late race cautions there to save my butt there at Vegas. So I'm going to have to figure out why I was burning up that right front so bad tonight.
Well, the points have just updated, Jeff. You have climbed to the number 3 spot, obviously, behind John Brightsman and Dan West Jr. Team LSRTV 1, 2, and 3. What's your take on that?
Hey, I'd love it if we could finish that way, but, just trying to get to that last championship race. We get the great reset. We all got a puncher's chance if we get in there. So, Dan and Sean, they're in, and congratulations to them. But, I'm going to have a damn good finish there in Las Vegas in order to keep myself in that spot. So hopefully I can pull it off.
You've been running this a long time, Jeff Stabnow, obviously third place, and you made your 424th career start tonight in Northwest competition, most of anybody. Sean Brightsman behind you at 390, most of the wins for him at 74 whenever we talked to him in Victory Lane. But Jeff, I got to ask you this question. How tiresome is it year in, year out, especially going through the regular season and then going through the mental grind to go for a championship, much less now the playoff format, and now you're having to battle your teammates now to do it?
Oh, it's it's a grind, man. It really kind of depends on, what's going on in the professional life and the work life and how much time you can put into it. And right now, myself and, Dan and Sean too, we just don't have a lot of time to put into it. So sometimes it can feel like work when you're trying to make time, on the personal time to get in here and do a little bit of work. And sometimes we're just not getting enough work in. But this time of the season, at least this year, it definitely feels like a grind. There's been other times where it always feels like a grind, but maybe not quite to this extent. I think winning cures a lot of that feeling, right? If you're capturing a win now and then, maybe it's not feeling like grinding so much, but fighting for podium spots and points on every cut line, it feels like grinding.
Jeff Stabnow, thank your sponsors, man. Third place again.
Well, first of all, we got to thank CLICKIT RV for sponsoring LSRTV, helping make all this possible. Big thanks to all the guys that help us with everything that we do in the Northwest Racing Series. And then last but not least, you guys all over my car, CRN, LSRTV, all that you guys do to just put on such a fantastic production. And thanks to all the drivers that come out. Man, we have some good, tight, clean racing out here. It's white knuckle all the way to the end. You don't know if you're gonna, get first there at the end of that last one or finish 7th or 8th. I really didn't have a clue on those restarts. That's how tight the competition is and how clean the racing is. So big thanks to everybody. But can't forget the teammates too. Dan, Sean, John, Brett kind of pushing us, Devin, when we're doing the trucks too, just pushing each other to maybe put in that little bit of time when it does feel like a grind and we don't want to, or giving tips, as the race goes on to each other, what we figured out. So a lot of people deserve a thanks. I'm sure I'm forgetting some.
Yeah, definitely was a wild one for sure, man. Thank you so much, Jeff Stabnow. Dan West Jr. will join you now. Obviously, you are the number 1 seed. You have now the lead. You're 9 points ahead over Sean Brightsman. Sean, the winner. We were asking this question in the broadcast booth while racing when it became a Team LSRTV battle to the end. Do you bow out and let Brightsman or Jeff have it? And we were saying, no way. You're going to try to win these races if you can. But obviously, it's got to be pretty special to know that one of the next Championship 4 drivers are your teammates, or is that make it more of a teammate rivalry now to determine who will be the champion at Auto Club in 2 weeks?
That's the last thing I need is another rivalry. Yeah. So, no, I was definitely going for it. I missed a shift on one and got a little loose on the next restart. So I just didn't do my job to basically put the 55 car out front. So, when you come down to the last lap or so, you're definitely just trying to get in the top 3 at that point in time. So defend and see your guys get through.
And Dan, congratulations on second after having a dominant performance last night. And you think about how a late race yellow can affect a race like it did here tonight. And Sean beat you out of the pits on a 2-tire strategy. Is that something that you probably prep for in your mind, or at least think about maybe subconsciously when you go to Auto Club in a couple weeks, thinking to yourself, I could lead this entire race and it could go away in 2 seconds with 2 laps to go? Is that something that you prep for?
Yeah, Jason, I think you definitely have to try that. I mean, I'm not really sure, Auto Club is more of a tire wearing track, so I don't know if you can get away with it there, but yeah, you bet. I mean, that's definitely something you better test that, right? Because you got guys like Sean that'll do it and it pays off. I mean, the guy's a wheelman, so if anybody could run 2 tires, he can.
Dan, how wild is next Wednesday night at Las Vegas going to be, and how comforting is it knowing that you don't have to worry about whatever takes place for that final chance to make the Championship 4?
It is. It makes it a lot more fun. I mean, it's like Jeff's, touched on it a little bit. Towards the end of the season, I think that everybody gets irritable. It's tiring. And we put a lot of work in, and we're not. On our truck side, you can see that we're not probably not putting enough work in, but we're just tired, right? So it's nice to be automatically in the championship, so you can come to these races like tonight in Las Vegas and just have some fun again versus worrying about points. So yeah, I like Las Vegas. That's one of my favorite tracks. So I'm looking forward to that track. I think it'll be pretty good.
Dan West Jr., always great hollering at you. Thank your sponsors, man.
Thanks, Wesley, Jason. Appreciate you guys up there in the booth. LSRTV, CRN Sports, CLICKIT RV, all my teammates. Appreciate all they do. Keep me focused. Try to keep me out of the wall once in a while. I just appreciate everything you guys do. Thank you.
Dan, I got one more thing to add. Me and Jason mentioned this in the broadcast tonight. You know that I'm a stat guy. I'm constantly looking at information, statistics for real life and even virtual. Did you know that in your for your 273rd career Northwest event, 45 wins, 146 top 5s, 210 top 10s counting tonight. But did you even realize that you have led over 7,025 laps in total in your Northwest career?
No, I don't. I don't look at the stats, but that's awesome, man. I mean, you're just out here with your friends and trying to have fun, but that's stuff like that is kind of cool.
All right. Well, there's the man that leads the most laps. He's the man that's the number 1 seed of the Championship 4. Whatever happens at Vegas next week at Sin City, he will advance to Auto Club along with his teammate, Sean Brightsman. And let's go to the victory lane. And Sean, congratulations again with Dan West Jr. You win, of course, number 5, tied with Dan West Jr. on the year at 5. And when it counts the most, you are back in to the championship 4. Congratulations.
Thanks, Wes. Yeah, it's great to be back here and locked into a championship 4 spot. Kentucky wasn't really my track to begin with, so it was just nice to get kind of some runs in there, see what these other drivers were doing. But super thrilled to be in that championship 4 now.
And Sean, obviously now you're locked into the Final 4, so it's got to feel good, I can only imagine. But with that being said, with how strong Dan was here tonight, and you had that opportunity with that late caution with around 15 laps to go, was your strategy, two-part question basically. One, was your strategy definitely to take 2 tires? Was a last-minute call possibly? And obviously with that being said, how do you feel like your chances were before the restart, knowing you were on 2 tires compared to everyone else?
So to answer the first part, no, that was not planned. I slid through the stall and I didn't want to start 10th or 11th, so I figured 2 tires was the safer bet even if I ended up wrecked, because I probably would have ended up wrecked. Second part of that question, I really wasn't sure what it was going to do, to be quite honest. As loose as it was on 4 tires, I thought there was a chance that I got into the middle of turns 1 and 2 and exited 2, spinning out down the backstretch. So they just happened to cool the tires down enough for the left sides, and the sticker rights held on.
Sean Brightsman, 2020 Cup Series champion of the Northwest, originally from Puyallup, Washington, now in Tucson, Arizona. And Sean, I gotta ask you this question. Man, you definitely struggled Monday night. What a way to get back off the schneid and do what you did here tonight, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, when you get in a couple wrecks there and kind of out of your control, I mean, there's not much you can do about that. So, and that's part of racing. So it's one of the tough ones of racing, but sure. We'll go next Monday and give it all we got and see if we got anything to fight against that win group.
So Dan's in. Obviously, you're in now, Sean. What do you guys do to try to help Jeff get in? Or is it just, you'll do whatever you can to try to give him a little push, but at the end of the day, you're going to race and look to try to go for win 6 next week at Vegas?
I mean, I'm going to try to go for win 6. I mean, obviously, if I've got Jeff right in front of me, I may not push the issue as much. I'm still going to go for the win. I just probably won't run him as tight or, side draft or anything like that. I'd much rather race him clean, not dump him or anything like that, and really just ruin his shot at it, right? So the win's not that important to take out the playoff contender or anything like that, especially right. My teammate. So I will race for the win. It's just going to be a cautious piece if it comes down to one of the teammates racing against them.
Well, we'll get ready, Jason and I, to go back on camera, wrap things up here in a minute. But obviously, we're going to wrap up here, actually, is what I'm being told. A correction. Maintenance coming in a few minutes, so I'm glad we got to the end here. Sean, thank your sponsors, and man, whatever happens next week at Vegas, it stays in Vegas, except for you going to Virtual Auto Club for the championship, man. Congratulations.
Thank you. Gotta thank CLICKIT RV, LSRTV, CRN, Brights Boutique, Swag Golf, and Blenders Eyewear.
And listen, I want to one more question for all you guys. What does it mean to have the dominance that LSRTV had tonight?
I mean, that's a tough answer. I mean, Dan dominated the race, so and he dominated the race at I think last week at, I can't even remember, where in New Hampshire or something. But Dan's
maybe
putting
to
in,
finish the race for Team LSRTV.
Yeah, Dan's putting in some work there. He's showing Team LSRTV where we need to be, and we all have some work to do. So it's great to see us all finish up there and run that well.
Team LSRTV 1, 2, and 3 here tonight when it wraps up. Jason, man, real quick, your take of this race. It was fun. It was exciting in the end. Of course, Team LSRTV 1, 2, and 3, and Sean Brightsman will join Dan West Jr. for the championship, buddy.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting. I'm really excited to see, obviously, how Vegas is going to shape up next week. And it's going to be a good one, man. I'm looking forward to it. We had a great race here tonight. Lots of battling. DWJ always dominant, but Sean Brightsman gets that two-tire strategy call, and which wasn't even a strategy call. It was a mistake on his part. And like we've seen before, sometimes one mistake could also be your fortune.
It worked out in the end. We're going to wrap it up here for Jason, Charles. I'm Wesley. Thanks to Rocket Racing Media, LSRTV, CRN. Be good to one another. Congratulations, Sean Brightsman, winner tonight, onto the championship 4. We'll see you next week at Vegas.